This is a battle in round 4 of the Use It and Lose It tournament. We have Iraklis commanding Ardiaei and Centurion commanding Massilia. Both players have had some really good games in the Use It and Lose It tournament. So I'm quite anxious to see how they stack up against each other. In terms of just faction balance, both of these factions in the Use It, Lose It rule set are very strong because they can bring very good spear support to their melee units. So let's see here. For Iraklis, we have a center of, let's see, Illyrian Nobles, Mercenary Hoplites, and Illyrian Nobles. So 4 Illyrian Nobles and 2 Mercenary Hoplites. They are backed up by Mercenary Axe Warriors and Mercenary Celtic Warriors. 2 Illyrian Cav, Slave Slinger in the center, and then 3 of these Mercenary Tarentines, which quite unexpected, to be honest, the Tarentines. And for Centurion, Levy Free, Massilian Hoplites, Massilian Cav, Celtic Warriors, Thorax Swords, Celtic Slingers, just your standard Massilian army. Massilian Hippeus Lancer General. And just looking at the timer here, this is going to be a long game. Kind of surprising looking at the army compositions. If you look at the terrain, there is getting some lag here for some reason. Looking at the terrain, Centurion has the terrain advantage here. It's going to be hard for Iraklis to do anything about it. Because Centurion has both this forest, and he also has the option to fight slightly downhill. So I'm sure it looks like Iraklis is aware of it. He wants to start moving up towards this side of the battlefield, which is a good idea. Engaging here isn't really going to be a smart choice for him. You can see how differently they've deployed. Iraklis has deployed, he's deploying all of his melee in the center here, going for... Now he's starting to change it around a bit, keeping his Hoplites as second line, his melee units with precursors as first line, and Centurion a bit more spread out with his infantry. He has some infantry support over here for his Hippeus, and this is a very strong flank. Levy Freeman, Hippeus, Massilian Cav, and Massilian Hoplites. But against Ardiaei, there isn't going to be many cavalry threats from Ardiaei. The Mercenary Taranton Cavalry is taking fire from the Celtic Slingers. They are somewhat protected here in the forest, but it's probably best to do what Iraklis is doing here and just pull out. No need to take more hit point damage. So I'd say that Centurion is the player who can afford to sort of hang back and make Iraklis come to him, just by virtue of terrain. He has this nice little hill here, but Iraklis is moving up towards the flank, and but if he engages on the flank as well, Centurion will have this terrain advantage here. So it's kind of hard for Iraklis to find an area where he can engage on equal ground. And he's continually being pushed away here by the Celtic Slingers. The Tarentines just have to pull away. They won't lose the men quickly, but that hit point damage is very annoying. Celtic Slingers here, Slave Slingers, only one Slave Slinger though. Looks like they will get the first volley on the Celtic Slingers there. Yep, they will. But these Celtic Slingers are alone, isolated, whereas these units are going to be taking fire. And Iraklis is moving around, being very aggressive here with his Tarentines. It looks like he might even fire on the Levy Free, and the Levy Free managed to kill a Mercenary Tarentine, killing less because of the forest there. Very aggressive. He needs to be careful because this Massilian Cav is more than capable of catching those Tarentines, and the Tarentines miss, but he's doing something smart here. He's sort of surrounding the Massilian cavalry, and doing so they won't be able to protect the Celtic Slingers at all angles, and the Tarentines might be able to get in a few volleys. Levy Freeman killing 2 Tarantines with their precursors. But Iraklis is firing on the Levy Freeman, which is a bit of an odd choice here. The Thorax Swords running up and trying to get some shots in. The Slave Slingers are doing well here against the Celtic Slingers, because they got the first volleys off and the Celtic Slingers weren't really firing on them. So the Celtic Slingers are in red morale because they are losing the combat. And nicely done here by Iraklis, getting into the rear and front of the Levy Freeman at the same time. He needs to get out of here, but he might manage to break this Levy Freeman. The Levy Freeman haven't gotten many kills. They are losing it decisively. And there he breaks the Levy Freeman with his Tarantine. So really nice use of his Tarantine cavalry there. The Slave Slingers are now firing, still firing at the Celtic Slingers there. So yeah, the Levy Free are off the field. Nicely done by Iraklis. He lost a few Tarantines in the process, but not too bad. I'd say that was a decent enough engagement for him. Always nice to get a unit of Levy Free off the field, so this flank is sort of isolated, but Iraklis can't put any pressure on it at the moment. We have the Mercenary Axe Warriors being sent up here against the Celtic Warriors, and that's not a good engagement for them. That's not who they want to be fighting. They most definitely want to be fighting Thorax Swords. So Celtics up against Celtics, Mercenary Axe up against Mercenary Axe, and Iraklis is being very, very quick here with his support of Illyri Noble Hoplites, trying to break these Axe Warriors and these Celtics quickly. But that's going to allow Centurion to get the charge onto these Mercenary Hoplites and to the Illyri Noble Hoplites, so that might be a problem. Also, Centurion is moving around the flanks here with his cavalry, and Iraklis doesn't have much to be able to stop the cavalry with there. Mercenary Hoplites going into phalanx as the Celtic Warriors start to break, but the Thorax Swords move in, and the Illyri Noble Hoplites looks like they could get flanked here. Iraklis doesn't respond thus far. Illyri Noble Hoplites taking a lot of fire there. The Axe Warriors get in, and yep, he responds. He sends the Illyri Noble Hoplites around. So these Axe Warriors are going to take a lot of casualties. The Mercenary Celtic Warriors getting into the Hippeus Lancers here together with the Illyrian Cavalry. So the Hippeus Lancers winning decisively at the moment, but things might turn around for them really quickly. There are a few units of Tarantines in the back of Centurion's army, but the Massilian Cavalry might be able to get them. They are going to take massive casualties though from the Javelins. And the Hippeus are fighting here in the forest against Celtics and Illyrian Cavalry. Nice rear charges could be incoming here from the Massilians. Iraklis turns around his Mercenary Celtics though. So that was a nice move, but still, things, I mean, it looks like the initial engagement went better for Centurion. The Massilian Cavalry taking so much damage here. I mean, the Tarantines are being microed extremely well here for Iraklis, I think. Using one unit to fire and the other to pull back. And the Tarantines, once again, getting into the Celtic Slingers here. The Massilian General is... the Hippeus Lancers could lose this combat if these... the Massilian Cavalry is going to come in and get a rear charge on the Mercenary Celts. And that might be enough to save the Hippeus Lancer General. The Hippeus... No, Iraklis turns them around, gets some precursors in. Takes down a few Massilian Cavalry, but that means that the Hippeus Lancers are going to be able to withdraw, and the Massilian Cavalry is going to lose, but even a depleted unit of Hippeus is going to do a lot of damage to those Celtics. And here the Mercenary Tarantines are getting attacked by the Massilian Cavalry. They probably won't survive that. The Illyri Noble Hoplites are losing decisively against the Massilian Hoplites here. Looks like Iraklis is doing better on the flanks though. The Massilian Cavalry is starting to waver, and at this point the Illyrian Cavalry manages to get a charge onto the Hippeus just as the Mercenary Celtic Warriors waver. Frenzy charge could be used by the Illyrian Cavalry to keep them in the fight here and kill the Hippeus. These Mercenary Axe Warriors just standing around at the moment, throwing a few volleys into the Massilian Hoplites. Now the Massilian General is dead. So, always risky to have the General in a unit of... Nicely done here by Centurion, hammering the Mercenary Tarantines. and saving the Celtic Slinger. So always very, very risky to keep your general in a cavalry unit when it's when it's a Hippeus Lancer. Nice rear charge here into the backs of mercenary hoplites by the Hippeus Lancers. The mercenary Celts are getting a charge on these Massilian hoplites in the rear. There are Thorax swords coming into support. The mercenary axe warriors winded. The general is dead for both factions now. I think morale is going to be a bigger problem for Ardiaei than it's going to be for Massilia. But we'll see. Quite a lot of disciplined units for Massilia left on the field. Iraklis has these Tarentines that have been used extremely well. Not a lot of cavalry left for Massilia, and they have to take these engagements with Illyrian cavalry. So the Hippeus Lancers winning decisively on the charge there, but they're going to be very, very depleted. Iraklis winning on the flanks. And the mercenary Tarentines getting a charge against the Axe Warriors. So the Axe Warriors, they're doing fine actually. The Celtics are about to break here, getting nice kills. The Mercenary Axe Warriors and the Illyrian Noble Hoplites should defeat the Thorax Swords very easily. And here the Hippeus are starting to lose now against the Illyrian Cavalry. Illyrian Cavalry winning decisively. And Iraklis being very aggressive again with his Tarentines, trying to get these Celtic Slingers off the field. And it looks like he's going to be able to do just that, attack them in the rear. The Illyrian Noble Hoplites need to redirect their charge and get into this blob here, because the mercenary Tarentines are about to break, and it looks like the Illyrian Noble Hoplites are not getting the charge. Centurion is getting the charge here against the Illyrian Noble Hoplites. Moving into phalanx is going to help them a bit. It's not going to be easy to break Massilian Hoplites like this with charges. The Axe Warriors are prime targets for those charges. A charge here on the Axe Warriors is probably going to be enough to break them. Yeah, they didn't even need to charge them, they broke. The Illyrian Cavalry is being kept in the fight, a huge mistake. They should have been here to break the Thorax Swords, and now they're going to break. The Mercenary Axe Warriors are wrapping around this depleted unit of Massilian Hoplites very nicely. Here we have the Illyrian Noble Hoplites in phalanx. They are not disciplined. So just using the mercenary Tarentines once again, very aggressively, going in, inflicting the penalties. The mercenary Axe Warriors are going to win here. The Massilian Hoplites are losing. This very healthy unit of Illyrian Noble Hoplites is going to do well against Thorax Swords and Massilian Hoplites here. So once this Thorax Sword... Oh, disengaging. Very nicely done by Greek Iraklis. Disengaging from the Phalanx Massilian Hoplites. The Phalanx Massilian Hoplites cannot follow. All of these units are exhausted. So very smartly done there, ensuring that he will get another charge should he want it. Moving around with the mercenary Tarentines. Into the... Breaking the Massilian Hoplites. Huge for Iraklis that he was able to break those Massilian Hoplites. So now he's going to get a charge with his Illyrian Nobles onto the Thorax Swords. And the Thorax Swords are going to die here. Now it looks like Centurion has forgotten about this unit of Massilian Cavalry. Which that unit could have been very, very important. So the Thorax Swords breaking, and at this point it's hard to see how Iraklis could lose this, really. There are 8 minutes left. I am going to fast forward a bit, because it's just about getting these units into position now. Centurion still not moving his Massilian Cavalry over there. And it looks like the medium melee are going to be able to run away, because these are very heavy, and these are medium. But both players... Now he sees his Massilian Cav there. So both players actually have 2 infantry units and 1 cavalry unit left. So resting his units. I don't know why Iraklis isn't moving his units to support here. Maybe it's just because he's resting them. But occupying the central hill here. I think that's what he's doing, is occupying the central hill, so Centurion can't really engage there and expect to break the mercenary axe warriors quickly. So very tired. Now he's moving up with his mercenary Tarentines, he's moving up with his Illyrian nobles. So we have an almost full strength unit of thorax swords, a very depleted Massilian hoplite. We have 89 mercenary axe warriors. We have 77 Illyrian noble hoplites. So in a straight up engagement, this goes Iraklis' way. But the big X factor will be the cavalry. Now they're just resting their units. There is this cavalry, this Massilian cavalry in the forest. Could ruin especially the mercenary axe warriors with rear charge. So active now, active, no penalties.
Warriors, move out! Move it! By your command!
The Illyrian noble hoplites are going to charge the thorax swords. The mercenary Tarentines screen away the Massilian cav. Going into phalanx against the thorax swords. Should have no problems dealing with the thorax swords. The mercenary axe warriors should have no problems dealing with the Massilian hoplites. I don't like the formation that the mercenary axe warriors are in, but they still should be able to carve through the very depleted Massilian hoplites. The Massilian cav going to for a rear charge, but it looks like Iraklis is going to get the rear charge first. Massilian cavalry comes in with the rear charge second. But the Massilian hoplites are already in red morale, and the mercenary axe warriors, they are dropping quickly, but Centurion's units are more depleted at this point. He's pulling out his mercenary Tarentine. A rear charge onto this thorax sword is going to be massive. You can see how well the Illyrian noble hoplites are doing against the thorax swords. So another rear charge against the Massilian hoplites. The Massilian hoplites have the inspire effect, so they are broken. The Illyrian noble hoplites get charged in the rear by Massilian cav, but the Massilian cav is so depleted it's not going to be able to do much here. Iraklis is going to be able to get the charge with his mercenary axe warriors, and the mercenary Tarentines are now free to go and engage the thorax swords. So I think this is going to go... pulling out from the phalanx, trying to go for the mercenary Tarentines there, but the mercenary axe warriors are in pursuit. Now the Illyrian noble hoplites are in pursuit. So they're getting a second charge here on the thorax swords. We should see them drop relatively quickly. Going into phalanx, going into shield wall, and yeah, the thorax swords are just going to break at this point. 240 kills for the Illyrians. Very nice. And that's it really. A costly victory for Iraklis. And the Ardiaei did a decent amount of damage here, but Iraklis' infantry overall, the Massilian hoplites, they do a very good job here. So do the Illyrian noble hoplites. The axe warriors do well, the mercenary Celts do a decent job, but in this particular case, Iraklis brings additional mercenary hoplites, and the way he used his mercenary Tarentine cavalry was a deciding factor in this battle, I think. The thorax swords did a decent enough job. They both deployed a similar amount of men. It was a very, very close battle. But even though Iraklis engages first, and Massilia gets the second charges off, the tankiness of the Illyrian noble hoplites carried the day, and also the very, very aggressive use of the mercenary Tarentines. Decisive factors. The Levy Freemen were neutralized fairly effectively, and that was a great game. I thought Iraklis and Centurion, that's going to be a great one, and it certainly was. So it's a best of 3. Let's see what happens in game number 2. Strength and Honor.